Someone still has deep feelings for you but is avoiding you. Take a deep breath and stay with these words. Let your heart listen, because this might be exactly what you need to hear today. There is a silent battle someone is fighting over you. There is someone in this world who still feels you deeply in their heart, even after all this time. They do not talk to you anymore. They do not reach out. They do not show up in your life the way they used to. But the silence, the distance, and the sudden disappearance do not mean they stopped caring. In fact, the truth is the opposite. They are avoiding you because they care too much. And tonight, this is about stepping into their mind, into their heart, into the private thoughts they do not dare to show you. You need to understand why someone who loves you deeply is staying away from you even when every part of them wants to be close. They are afraid of how much you affect them. Some people think avoidance means lack of feelings, but for this person, it is not that simple. You are the one thing they cannot handle emotionally. You touch a part of their soul no one has ever reached before. You awaken emotions they did not even know they had. Love, desire, longing, fear, excitement, vulnerability, all at once. Your presence does not just make them happy, it destabilizes them. It exposes them. When they see your name, their heart reacts before their mind can catch up. When they hear your voice, something inside them shifts. When they remember moments with you, their emotions rise so strongly that they feel like they might lose control. You do not just matter to them, you move them. And that kind of intensity is terrifying for someone who learned to survive by staying guarded. So they tell themselves that distance will calm the storm inside them. They believe that if they stay away, they can protect themselves from feeling too much. But the storm is not coming from outside. The storm is you. Carl Jung once said that where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power dominates, love is missing. In this situation, your presence awakens real love in them. Not control, not ego, not games. Real love. And real love removes their armor. It forces them to face parts of themselves they have avoided for years. They are not running from you. They are running from what you awaken inside them. Deep down, they also know something important. They know you deserve a love that is steady, a love that is emotionally available, a love that does not disappear when things get intense. And right now, they are not sure they can give you that. They do not feel ready for the love you deserve. They question themselves in silence. Am I emotionally mature enough? Can I stay consistent? Can I show up without hurting them? These questions stay in their mind more than you realize. They feel like they are not enough, not because of anything you did, but because your presence shows them the gap between who they are now and who they think they need to become in order to love you properly. So they avoid you, not because they want to reject you, not because they do not care, but because they do not want to step into your life halfway, half ready, half certain, half healed. They believe that if they come close without being whole, they might damage something sacred. So they choose distance, not as rejection, not as indifference, but as protection, protection for you. They do not want to bring their chaos into your peaceful heart. They do not want to waste your time. They do not want to give you confusion when you deserve clarity. In their mind, staying away feels like the most loving thing they can do. Carl Jung also described how, when two people truly meet, something in both of them changes. You changed them. You affected something deep in their inner world, and transformation is not always comfortable. It is often unsettling. They are now caught between who they were and who they are becoming. Inside them there is a constant conflict. Their heart pulls them toward you. Their fear pushes them away. Every day this battle repeats itself. Their heart tells them to reach out, to call you, to tell the truth. Their fear tells them they will lose control, they will get hurt, they will disappoint you, and they are not ready. And fear often speaks louder than love when someone does not feel safe within themselves. You may think they have forgotten you. They have not. You may think they have moved on. They have not. They are simply stuck between longing and fear, between desire and self-protection, between wanting you and believing they are not enough. Carl Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate. Their avoidance is not random. It is not simple choice. It comes from unconscious wounds, old experiences, and fears they have not fully understood yet. They are not indifferent. They are overwhelmed. There is something else too. They see you as rare. They see you as kind, genuine, and different from anyone they have ever met. Because of that, they also believe you deserve someone stronger, more stable, more emotionally grounded than they feel themselves to be. So admiration mixes with insecurity, and that creates distance. They fear disappointing you more than they fear losing you. They fear being the reason your light becomes dim. So instead of risking that, they step back and love you quietly from a distance. Carl Jung also said that people will do anything, no matter how unreasonable, to avoid facing themselves. For them, facing you means facing themselves, and they are still learning how to do that. Their silence is not empty. It is full. Full of thoughts they do not say, full of emotions they hold back, full of love that feels too big for them to carry right now. They are afraid their feelings are too visible. They are afraid that if they stay close to you, everything inside them will show. They are afraid you will see it in their eyes, hear it in their voice, and feel it in the way they change around you. They are not as strong as they appear. When you are near, their emotional control weakens. Their walls begin to crack. Their calm outside starts to fail them. They fear you will see through them completely and understand how deeply you still affect them. So they avoid eye contact. They shorten conversations. They step back when things feel too intimate. Not because they do not care, but because caring makes them vulnerable. And vulnerability is something they learn to fear. They train themselves to hide emotions in order to survive. And you challenge that entire system just by being who you are. Their silence is armor. Their distance is a shield. Because closeness would reveal how much they still think about you, how often they replay memories, and how deeply you still live in their mind. There is also something deeper happening. They are trying to heal before they return. Some people do not leave because they want to leave. They leave because they see something broken in themselves that they cannot ignore anymore. Your presence did not break them. It revealed what was already there. You triggered awareness. You brought up old wounds, old fears, and unresolved emotions they never properly dealt with. So they stepped away not to forget you, but to fix what they believe could destroy the connection if left unhealed. They want to come back whole. They want to come back stable, grounded, and certain. They do not want to return with confusion or emotional instability. They want to be able to stay. That is why their absence feels heavy. Because it is not empty, it is internal work. It is healing that happens in silence, in loneliness, and in self-reflection. Carl Jung once said that enlightenment does not come from light alone, but from understanding the darkness within. And that is what they are facing now. They are dealing with their fears, their emotional patterns, and their past mistakes. They do not want to repeat them with you. So they delay. They hesitate. They wait. But while they heal, another fear grows inside them. The fear that you may no longer feel the same. This fear stops them more than anything else. They imagine that you have moved on, that your heart is no longer open, that they are no longer important to you. That thought is painful for them. So they ask themselves questions they never say out loud. What if I waited too long? What if they no longer care? What if someone else replaced me? Because of this fear, they choose silence instead of risk. They hold on from a distance instead of facing possible rejection. And still, they watch you quietly. They notice your posts. They notice your energy. They notice when you seem different. A little lighter, a little distant, a little changed. They read meaning into everything you share. A song, a caption, a photo, even silence itself. You are still part of their daily thoughts. At night, when everything becomes quiet, you return to their mind again. Not invited, not forced, just there. You may think they have detached. They have not. Their heart still remembers your presence. They just do not know how to return without breaking what they are still trying to fix inside themselves. They are waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for strength. Waiting for a version of themselves that can stay without running again. Until then, they remain in between. Not gone, not finished. Just paused in silence, still carrying you quietly. They never stopped loving you. That is the truth they do not fully know how to live with yet. Love did not disappear. It did not fade. It did not weaken. It simply went underground, buried under fear, pride, confusion, and unfinished healing. What you feel as absence is not emptiness. It is restraint. They wake up and you are the first thought before the day fully begins. In small moments of silence you return. At night, when distractions fade, you return again. They try to move forward, but emotions do not follow logic. Love waits. They do not know how to come back yet, how to explain silence, how to admit fear, how to say they cared the whole time when their actions look different. So they rehearse conversations that never happen. They imagine different outcomes, and each one makes them more uncertain. So they stay still, and inside them, regret grows. Not because love ended, but because they did not know how to handle it when it mattered most. Carl Jung once said that what we do not face within ourselves, we meet as fate. You became a mirror they were not ready for. Loving you forced them to see their patterns, their fears, and their emotional limits. They did not run because they did not care. They ran because it mattered too much. Now they live with your memory. They compare everything quietly. Conversations feel different. Connections feel less deep. Something feels missing, and they know what it is. They wonder if you feel it too, that invisible connection that never fully disappeared. But they also fear they may have broken it with silence. And that fear is the hardest part. Because if they accept it is gone, they must accept that they lost you not because of someone else, but because of their own fear. So they remain still, watching, waiting, hoping. They tell themselves that if the connection is real, it will survive time. If the bond mattered as much to you as it did to them, it will not disappear just because of distance. They hold on to this belief because it helps them survive their own hesitation. It gives them a reason to stay still when everything inside them is moving. And yet there is a quiet urgency inside them, a knowing that silence always has a cost. They feel it every time they almost reach out, every time something reminds them of you, every time they imagine you laughing with someone else or building a life that no longer includes them. They understand, even if they do not say it out loud, that time does not pause just because someone is afraid. Still, they hesitate. Because coming back means risk. It means risking rejection. It means risking indifference. It means risking the possibility that you have already moved on while they were still trying to heal. And strangely, that thought feels more painful than holding on from a distance. From far away, love stays untouched. It stays safe in memory. It does not get challenged by reality. It does not get broken by response. But love cannot survive forever in imagination alone. They feel that truth growing inside them. It creates pressure. It creates discomfort. It creates a quiet internal weight they cannot fully escape. They are not waiting because they do not care. They are waiting because they care too much. They want to get it right. They want to return as someone better, someone stable, someone who will not disappear again, someone who will not run the moment emotions become intense, someone who can stay present instead of retreating. They are trying to become that version of themselves. But change takes time, and fear does not disappear easily. So they remain silent, hoping that when they finally speak, the connection will still recognize them, that your heart will still remember theirs, that what existed between you will not feel completely gone. But this is where reality becomes uncomfortable. Silence is not endless. Distance is not harmless. Every passing day changes something, even if it is small. They know this, and that knowledge sits with them more than they admit. They are standing at the edge of a decision, even if no one can see it. Stay hidden in safety or step forward in truth. Love pulls them in one direction. Fear pulls them in the other. And the longer they wait, the louder that conflict becomes inside them. Because love that is never expressed does not disappear. It turns inward. It builds pressure until it demands to be felt in some form. And when that moment comes, something will eventually shift. There is another layer to what they are experiencing, something most people never notice. They are living in emotional suspension. Not fully gone, not fully present. Somewhere in between holding on and letting go. And that in-between space is exhausting. Every day they carry unfinished emotions. Every day they feel the weight of a choice they have not made. You might think silence is peaceful for them, but it is not. Silence is loud. It is filled with imagined conversations, with unsent messages, with thoughts they never complete. Their phone has been in their hand more times than anyone will ever know. Messages typed, deleted, rewritten, and erased again. Not because they do not know what to say, but because saying it would make everything real again. And reality feels risky, because if they reach out, they might discover the door is closed. They might find that you have healed in a way that no longer includes them. They might realize the version of you they are holding on to only exists in memory now. So they delay. They tell themselves tomorrow will feel better. Tomorrow they will be braver. Tomorrow they will be clearer. But tomorrow keeps moving forward, never arriving in the way they hope. And while they wait, something subtle begins to change inside them. They start feeling the absence. They notice how life feels slightly different without you, how moments feel less vivid, how joy feels quieter, how connection feels harder to reach, even in crowded rooms. Even if they do not consciously connect it to you, their body does. Their heart remembers what their mind tries to avoid. That is why their distance feels heavy instead of clean. That is why their silence feels loaded instead of final. They are not indifferent. They are carrying something unresolved, something that never fully ended inside them. And it shows in subtle ways, in their distance, in their inconsistency, in the way they still seem emotionally tied, even while staying silent. They wonder if you feel it too. If you ever pause for no reason and feel something you cannot explain. If you ever think of them at random moments without knowing why. If you ever sense something still exists between you, even without words. They hope you do. Because if you still feel it, then maybe it is not truly over. But hope is fragile, and fear constantly tells them not to trust it. So they remain cautious, controlled, quiet. They tell themselves that if you wanted them, you would reach out first. They use this belief to protect themselves from action. But deep down, they know it is not that simple. They know they were the one who stepped back, the one who created distance, the one who left questions unanswered. And with that awareness comes guilt. Guilt for disappearing. Guilt for not speaking when it mattered. Guilt for letting something meaningful fade into uncertainty. This guilt does not push them forward immediately. Instead, it freezes them. Because guilt makes them feel undeserving of return. It makes them question whether they even have the right to come back into your life after what happened. So they wait, hoping time will soften everything. But time does not erase unfinished emotions. It intensifies them. They also see you changing from afar. They notice growth in you, strength in you, a different energy in you. And while that makes them feel proud in a quiet way, it also scares them, because growth can create distance. It can mean you no longer need what they could not give. It can mean you have become someone who has already moved beyond that version of the connection. They begin to question their place in your life, whether there is still space for them in who you are becoming. That uncertainty feeds hesitation even more. They do not want to interrupt your healing. They do not want to reopen something you have already processed. So they stay back, observing quietly, looking for signs that it might be safe again. A familiar tone, a shared memory, a small signal that the door is not fully closed. But doors do not stay open forever. They understand that too, and it creates a quiet urgency under everything they do not say. They are slowly realizing that waiting for the perfect moment is just another form of avoidance. No moment will ever feel completely safe. Clarity does not usually arrive first. Action does. They are approaching a threshold. A point where silence starts to hurt more than speaking, where distance feels heavier than rejection, where regret begins to feel more painful than fear. They are closer to that moment than it appears, because suppressed love does not weaken. It grows stronger. It turns into thought, into reflection, into longing mixed with regret, and eventually it demands release in some form. They are beginning to understand that silence has already shaped things more than they intended, that not choosing is still a choice, and that every day they wait increases the risk, not just of losing you, but of losing themselves to regret. They do not want to look back and realize fear wrote their entire story. They do not want you to become the unanswered question they carry for life. This realization unsettles them. It disrupts their comfort. It challenges everything they have been avoiding. They are standing at an edge now, even if it is invisible from the outside, between staying silent and speaking truth, between preserving memory and risking reality. And one thing is already certain. Their feelings were never small. Their silence was never empty. Their distance was never simple. It has been filled with fear, longing, conflict, guilt, hope, and emotions that never fully settled. Something shifts when silence reaches its limit. At first, silence feels like control. It feels like safety. It feels like protection. But slowly, it stops being that. It becomes a mirror instead. It reflects everything they avoided, every moment they chose fear over honesty, every time they stepped back instead of staying present, every moment connection required something they were not ready to give. And now, awareness begins to grow. They start seeing clearly that distance did not reduce their feelings. It sharpened them. It made everything more defined, not less. They realize that every attempt to suppress emotion only made it stronger. And that becomes harder to ignore. They begin questioning themselves more deeply. What are they actually afraid of? Is it rejection? Or is it being seen fully? Is it losing you? Or losing the version of themselves that felt safe hiding? Slowly they understand that this was never only about you. It was about vulnerability, about emotional risk, about their relationship with closeness itself. And this awareness changes something important. They become tired of running from themselves, tired of silence, tired of avoidance. It does not mean fear disappears. It means fear no longer feels like enough reason to stay frozen. They start realizing something simple but powerful. Even if reaching out brings pain, it would be real pain, honest pain. Silence has only been slow emotional erosion. They also begin to see that loving from a distance is not strength. It is incompleteness. It freezes everything in place. It prevents healing. It prevents truth. They do not want to be someone who only loved in theory. They want to know they tried. They start seeing you more clearly too, not as an idea, but as a real person with your own emotions, confusion, and healing process. They realize their silence may have left you with questions you did not deserve. That realization brings humility instead of pride, responsibility instead of denial. They begin to accept that waiting for the perfect feeling is just another form of avoidance. Readiness is not something that appears fully formed. It is built through action, through honesty, through discomfort, through choosing courage even when it feels uncertain. They are not suddenly fearless, but they are no longer fully asleep either. They are aware now, aware of what they feel, aware of what they avoided, aware of what still matters. They begin imagining a different kind of moment, not perfect, not safe, just honest, where they speak without hiding, where they stop pretending nothing happened. And strangely, that thought brings relief instead of panic. They do not know how you would respond. They do not know if there is still space. But they are starting to understand that uncertainty is part of love, not a reason to avoid it. And even if reconnection does not happen, silence was never protection. It only delayed reality while building regret. Now they are beginning to want clarity, even if it is painful, because living in emotional limbo has become heavier than facing truth. This is where something inside them shifts. Even if nothing outside has changed yet, internally they are different. Fear is no longer in control in the same way. They are not fully healed, but they are no longer running. They are moving from avoidance toward intention. And intention always leads somewhere. They may still hesitate. They may still pause. But the direction has changed. They are no longer escaping the connection. They are finally facing it. And at this point, everything changes meaning. Silence was not the end. It was a pause before transformation. Whether they speak or let go, they will not remain the same. Because real emotion always changes a person. Loving you changed them. Losing you confronted them. And facing themselves is now reshaping them. At some point, they will either speak honestly or release what they cannot carry anymore. Either way, it will no longer be avoidance. It will be truth. And that is where this quiet internal battle is heading. Not because feelings are gone, but because they have become strong enough to face them. No masks, no hiding, no silence as protection. Only truth, whatever form it takes. And if this message reached something inside you, do not ignore it.